3 ninth-inning comebacks, and throw in Georgia State, and 4 Sunbelt teams won in their final at-bat. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, everybody. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we're driven by the details. Highlights make the reel, but the work behind them makes it count. Stay tuned for this week's Moving the Game Forward, the all-new Mazda CX-5. More to move every side of you. Okay, we'll get to the RPI standings. We'll talk about some missed opportunities, but we got to talk about these ninth-inning rallies that may go over a couple of segments. So, last week, remember, Coastal Carolina came from behind twice in the ninth. Once against the Citadel, and then once against South Alabama. South Alabama had a chance to win the series against Coastal Carolina. They won Saturday, and then were leading, or maybe Friday, whatever the day was, because I guess it was Easter. So they won Friday and were leading on Saturday. Couldn't get it done. Coastal Carolina wins. So then I came up with this. Play all 9 innings, and you got to put them away. I have been affiliated, if you will, with minor league ball clubs. If they were down a couple of runs late, they knew they were going to win it. You know, they had to be down by more than 4 runs. If it's the 7th inning and it's a 1 or 2 run game, they knew they were going to win it, and the other team knew they were going to win it. That kind of happens with this Coastal Carolina team. Now, they're going to run into better teams than the Citadel and probably South Alabama along the way. Doesn't change the fact it happened at Auburn last year, right? That Auburn lines not into 1 double play to end an inning in the 9th, I think, and then did it in the 10th and lost game 1. Coastal makes the plays in game 2. They go on to Omaha. So it's not only do they have supreme confidence, the other team is sort of confident that Coastal is going to make the plays. And that's what happened on Friday. All right. So quickly, came home, watched the astronauts landed. That was pretty cool. All right. And I'm going to go out and watch an 80s band. All right. Meanwhile, I'm keeping up with the scores, and I caught it at 4-3 Arkansas State as Coastal Carolina scores 2 in the 7th. And I just figured, as that video would show you, Coastal Carolina is going to win the ballgame, right? By the time I get out to where I'm going, it's 7-4 Arkansas State. What I hadn't realized at the time was it was actually 7-3 in the 9th, and Coastal Carolina had already put a run on the board. Let's talk about this 9th inning. 7-run 9th inning. And before Arkansas State recorded an out, or maybe at the exact same time as the case may be, Coastal Carolina had taken the lead. Blake Barthol, single. Walker Mitchell, single. Rex Watson, double. 1 run home, 7-4. All right, pitching change. And then Brayden Horton tripled. That's 2 runs scored. It's 7-6. We still don't have an out. Jordan Taylor tripled. Run scores. That's 7-7. All right. You get Colby Thorndike reaching on a fielder's choice on a sac bunt. Taylor Jordan scored, and it's 8-7. There's the first out of the inning. So Arkansas State didn't even have a chance to get out of the jam before they tied and took the lead. They tacked on 2 more runs, made it 10-7, and ruined what would have been a spectacular night for Arkansas State, taking down the mighty Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Now, most baseball people, I'm a little different. They're not wrong, but this is my belief. The biggest difference to me is a 3 or 4 run lead. Everyone says it's 4-5 because if you hit a grand slam, you're still leading if you're down by 5, or the other way around, right? If you give up a grand slam and you're leading by 5, you're still up by 1. I think to get 3 guys on base in an inning, you need something like they had. That's an incredible rally, right? You can get a hit, walk, error. Getting 1 or 2 guys on base to get that 3-run home run, that I can see happening, all right? Doing more than that is impressive. And that's what usually in the Sun Belt we have some mistakes. But this was just all Coastal Carolina batting. And now they're back at 8 in the RPI. I mean, you feel bad. You're impressed with Coastal Carolina, for sure. And you feel bad for Arkansas State, because all of a sudden they're going to take the Friday night ball game. They got to win 1 out of the next 2, and they have a shot at taking this series. This is where coaching is going to come in. How do you bounce back from a 7-run 9th inning? Huge difference between a 7-run first inning, where you may get your butts kicked and lose a ball game, 14-2. Big difference between a 7-run first inning and a 7-run 9th inning when you were leading 7-3. I mean, watch out for this Coastal Carolina team. If they can get pitching, and if Cam Fluke can come back, we know Hayden Johnson's not coming back. Although I didn't see anything from Kevin Schnall. We'll see if we can find it this weekend. But if Cam Fluke is coming back in a couple weeks and this team can pitch, it certainly can hit. And, we'll see. We won't trust the NCAA to give them a national seed if they're hanging around 8. But, boy, if they are top 4 or 5, they're going to be in good shape to be a national seed. All right? So what an impressive victory by Coastal Carolina. They weren't the only ones to do it. All right. Another big series was Texas State and Troy. And it's Texas State, trying to get back up. They hadn't really lost, but they had fallen from, the 20s down into the 30s because of their opponent's RPI. They actually had a big win against A&M, right? And then didn't allow themselves to have a letdown and blanked Stephen F. Austin. All right. Troy's coming in there, and they're headed back in the right direction. They beat Arkansas State. They get Texas State, and then they get the Cajuns. And if you win 2 out of 3 in all of those series, you're going to be right there for an NCAA tournament bid. Troy leads Texas State, or did they? 5-4. Yeah, 5-4 heading until the 9th inning. In fact, Troy came back. They gave up 3 runs to Texas State to tie the game at 4, and then Troy scores 1 in the 7th. But in the 9th inning, Texas State puts up a 4 spot. All right? And here's the problem. Clayton Nemkin walks. Chase Mora walks. You did get a strikeout. Jackson Cotton with an RBI single. That only loads the bases up. Rashawn Galloway popped up, so it's actually 2 outs and the bases loaded, and Dawson Park with a 3-run home run. Where did I'm sorry. Jackson Cotton singles. Austin scores pinch runner. Okay. My bad. Okay. So Dawson Park, a 3-run home run. But, so the game had already been tied, and they walked it off with a home run. Still, that's impressive. And now Texas State is solidly in the mix for an NCAA tournament bid. That's 2 of the 3 9th inning ball games. We'll give you the 3rd one, and I guess a disappointing loss by JMU. Some missed opportunities. Arkansas State, South Alabama, Troy, all with missed opportunities. The Cajuns, not so much. All right, we'll come back and talk more about some 9th inning rallies and some missed opportunities, some late victories as well. We'll do that after I tell you about Mazda and TurboTax. This is moving the game forward by Mazda. For those who know the score, never tells the whole story. And you got to start with Coastal Carolina. They've had 3 ninth-inning comebacks in about 10 days. And last night's comeback, they were down 4 runs heading into the 9th inning. It's never over against Coastal Carolina, and we'll see how long that can carry them through this season, because on one side, it'd be nice to have a 9th inning lead. On another side, they are never out of it. There's more to these players than the highlights. The early mornings, the late night runs, constantly showing up for their squad on and off the field. The all-new Mazda CX-5 moves the same way, with more space to connect, a bold new design, and more intuitive technology. So you can stay connected to the road and every position you play. The all-new Mazda CX-5. More to move every side of you. And TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. That's TurboTax.com/local, TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Some of us are doing our taxes this weekend. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. I would say bonus episode, but it's really not. It's a makeup episode for not doing one on Tuesday following the basketball national championship. Okay. So we talked about Texas State beating Troy and Coastal Carolina's impressive victory over Arkansas State. Now it's Georgia Southern. All right. And there's not a lot going right this year for Georgia Southern. They are not a good baseball team. They have struggled mightily. It took them a long time to get their first win. They are just not good. South Alabama had started out good and have gone in the wrong direction. The problem is they're playing Georgia Southern on the road. That's always hard. And they need to sweep them to head back in that right direction. You can't be losing to Georgia Southern and expect your RPI to go up. So what happens? They have the slimmest of all leads. This was kind of a back and forth ball game. South Alabama scored 1 in the first, 1 in the fourth. Georgia Southern tied it up with 2 in the fourth. And South Alabama takes a 3-2 lead with a run in the sixth. Bottom half of the 9th inning, again, James McCoy strikes out swinging. So there's actually 1 out. Sean White singled and went to second base on an error. All right. We get a pinch hitter, or a pitching change, I should say, a pinch runner, actually. Bryson Trammell walked when Caden Thompson then stole third base. So it's first and third with 1 out. Brady Christman homer. 3-run shot, ball game. So in 2 of those games, we did get a game-winning home run. And that's just a killer for South Alabama. They're now down to 84. Right? Georgia Southern still just 151. But it's going to be really difficult for South Alabama to get back in the mix. It's going to be difficult anyways, but really tough losing to a team in the 150s. So really tough spot. That's not the last of the late inning comebacks. JMU, right, had a over where it was in the top 100 heading into this game, into this series with Georgia State. Georgia State is in the 120s. And JMU had beaten Virginia. They had taken 2 out of 3 against the Cajuns. They were absolutely headed in the right direction. Still a long way to go, but maybe got a shot if they take out the if they can take care of business. JMU led 5-0. 5-0. They managed to lose 10-5. They scored 1 in the first, 2 in the third, 2 in the fifth. It's 5-0 when Georgia State scores 4 in the 5th. Now we got ourselves a ball game. Georgia State ties it up in the 7th. 5 runs in the 8th inning for a 10-5 victory. So again, what do you have? Arkansas, or you had Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, Texas State, and now Georgia State all winning ball games in their final at-bats. Let's see what happened in the bottom half of the 8th inning. All right. Austin Killingsworth doubles to right. Hunter Carlson singles, and that puts runners on at first and third. Cole Griffith with a double. You get 1 run coming home, 6-5 Georgia State. We get a pitching change. Cooper Milford advances to third on a balk. We got runners on at second and third with a balk, or actually score. So you got a runner on at third, and a run comes home. 7-5. Adam Habner with a double. Milford scores. Adam Habner goes to third on a wild pitch. You do get a strikeout, a walk, and a strikeout. You get a 2-out single by John Beverly, and Habner scores, and you get an error reached on first by an error by the third baseman. Out at second, left field to second base. So that's an overthrow, but come back, except Willis McGinnis had already scored, but you already had a 4-run lead anyways. It's now a 5-run lead. So a little hitting and a little meltdown combined there by JMU. I wonder if it is a difference when you do that. It's a 5-5 game, so you got a shot at winning, not guaranteed, but it was a shot compared to being up 7-3 heading into the 9th inning. 5-5, the game is up for grabs, and they had already taken the lead before some of the melting down had happened. So great wins by Georgia State, Coastal, Texas State, and Georgia Southern. Really missed opportunities by JMU, South Alabama, Arkansas State, and Troy. All right. You have 3 teams solidly in the NCAA tournament bracket, if you will. It was going to take work for JMU to get in there. It was going to take work for South Alabama to get in there. Troy was heading there. All right. Troy could have been, if they had beaten Texas State, they probably would have been top 60 in the ball game last night. Do it again, and you're top 50. Sweep them, you might be top 40. That may be pushing it, but it's heading in the right direction. Now you blew it. All right. So we'll see. Troy can still win 2 out of 3. So that's the difference between, say, what South Alabama is going to do against Georgia Southern or JMU against Georgia State. Even if you win 2 out of 3, your RPI may not go up overall. All right. So we'll take a look at the RPI standings when I come back. We will do that right after I tell you about Indeed and Robinhood. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And since I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Sunbelt. Indeed.com/podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long, or use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. It's play-by-play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let me remind you about the Everydayer Club, all right? Get Locked On Sunbelt ad-free. That's ad-free with the Everydayer Club. Plus, members-only Discord. Join at lockedonsunbelt.supercast.com. Lockedonsunbelt.supercast.com. That's lockedonsunbelt.supercast.com. All right. Actually had a good night's sleep last night. All right, we'll get on the indoor bicycle here in a minute. All right, so let's see where we are Sunbelt standing-wise. All right, we got 3 teams solidly in it. All right, you do have Coastal Carolina, number 8. Let's see who's in front of Coastal Carolina. That's what I want to see, because can Coastal Carolina get a national seed? All right. All right. So UCLA is number 1. They're 31-2. Texas is 24-6. They're 2. Alabama 26-9. They're 3. How about Alabama, by the way? Right. Georgia Tech 29-5. They're 4th. Florida. I'm not even sure they were ranked in the top 25 a couple weeks ago. They're 26-9. Florida State's 24-10. Auburn is 23-10. They are projecting in the wrong direction. Coastal Carolina is 25-8. Oregon State 26-7, and USC is 28-7. Ole Miss 24-9, and then Southern Miss is 25-9. A&M is right there, 26-7. They're 13. All right. So Coastal Carolina is right in the mix, and it probably could come down to strength of schedule. All right. Auburn's got the number 1 strength of schedule. They're 7th, so they'll probably get a national seed. That's as if everything ended today. Obviously, we have 6 or 7 weeks to go. But Coastal Carolina's 9th. It's probably not going to end up that way, but that's pretty good. And their non-conference schedule, strength of schedule, is 3. That's outstanding. So that's not going to change all that much either. Whereas, say, in Oregon State, right behind Coastal, their strength of schedule is 31, and their non-conference schedule is 37. Same with USC. USC's has a strength of schedule of 44. They got a non-conference schedule of 80. And whether we like it or not, and I got to go see, I can't comment on USC's attendance, Coastal Carolina will fill it up, won't they? They'll fill it up for the regional, and they'll fill it up for super regional, should they get that far. All right. I don't know what USC does. There's a lot of, at the time, Pac-12 schools, I know they're Big Ten schools, but those West Coast schools don't generally fill it up. Right? I remember watching like softball regionals. Softball stadiums aren't that big, and those aren't filled up either. So I'm not going to comment on a USC game or attendance that I haven't seen at all, but I do know that Coastal Carolina will fill theirs, and the NCAA knows that. So that's a good thing. The question can be, can Southern Miss keep on winning to put themselves in a spot to be a national seed? They're 12th right now, and they have an outstanding schedule as well. Their strength of schedule is 15. That's very good. Their non-conference schedule is 6. So it'll be very interesting like say Ole Miss. Do we think this would go in the Sun Belt's way? Of course not. But Ole Miss has the strength of schedule 5 because they're playing the SEC. But their non-conference schedule is 69. Southern Miss's non-conference RPI is 1. And they got a strength of schedule of 6 out of conference. Ole Miss is 69. Nice. So we'll see. I mean, so Southern Miss is going to have the numbers, generally speaking, in their favor. Whether that goes their way or not, we do not know. And of course, again, we've got a long way to go. Texas State is right there as well. Again, they've moved up. I mean, they haven't lost too much, but they're on a roller coaster. Their numbers aren't quite as impressive as Coastal and Southern Miss. They're 26 overall. Strength of schedule is 46. Their non-conference strength of schedule is 19. All right. So compare that to what you got right below them in Miami. They're 27. But they got a non-conference, their strength schedule 75, and their non-conference is 174. That's a big difference. So we'll see if that matters. And again, I mean, we have seen the Cajuns, and we've seen the Cajuns go from 11 to maybe not making the Sun Belt Conference tournament. They were 11th in the RPI. They may not even play Memorial Day weekend. So things can change quickly. So we'll see what happens. All right, the rest of the Sun Belt, RPI-wise. So you do have Coastal is 8, Southern Miss 12, Texas State 26. The rest of the top 50, if you will. The Cajuns are 50, not 50, top 50, top 100. The Cajuns are 51. Troy is 68. Arkansas State didn't fall too much because they played Coastal. They're 56. South Alabama is 84. Then you got JMU 101, but that's like 10 spots in the wrong direction. ULM is 150. Marshall is 152. Georgia State is 122. Georgia Southern 151 and Old Dominion 163. And App State is 125. What I see is that bottom is much higher than it used to be. When you had Old Dominion and Georgia Southern in the 200s, now they're in the 150s. It doesn't sound like it makes a difference. That makes a huge difference. Enormous. So we'll see if the Sun Belt can take advantage of that. But right now, we're looking at 3 teams in easily: Coastal Carolina, Texas State, and Southern Miss. One could potentially be a national seed. Southern Miss looks like they will host as of right now. Can they move up and get a potential national seed? And then Texas State is looking really good right now as well. All right. That's about it. These other teams, and again, it could change by the end of the weekend, right? What if Arkansas State does take Coastal down and wins the series? All right. They'll be back in the top 40, if not top 30, and they would be headed towards a bid as well. What if Troy takes 2 from Texas State? All right. What did I say? They're like 68 right now. They'd be in the top 50, maybe top 40. So things can happen fast. Whereas South Alabama is playing Georgia Southern, and although Georgia Southern's doesn't have a 200 RPI anymore, even if they take 2 out of 3, they might be top 80 because they're 84. They won't improve all that much. So to give you, we always make this comparison with the SEC. So someone on the outside looking in right now, among others, for the NCAA tournament is LSU. They lost to Ole Miss. They have a 74 RPI. The difference is if they just win, they got to win. They're gonna make it because their RPI will go up. Now, if they keep on losing, they're not going to make it. But they'll always play somebody most of the time with a solid RPI. You guys take 2 out of 3 every weekend. That's it. Whereas we've seen Texas State, South Alabama, teams take 2 out of 3 and their RPI fall because the other opponent didn't have a good RPI. So we'll see. The defending champs are right now not looking like they're going to the NCAA tournament. We'll see if, the NCAA makes an exception. Would anybody be shocked? Of course not. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in to this makeup episode of Locked On Sunbelt. I very well could do another one. See if these games early today. I know we have some early games on Saturday. If they're not late, you do have Coastal Carolina and Arkansas State late. Troy and Texas State late afternoon, early evening. Same with Marshall and Old Dominion. You do have some late afternoon games. Texas State and Troy, I think, maybe playing a doubleheader. Yeah, Texas State and Troy are playing a doubleheader. They must have weather coming in on Sunday. So Troy and Texas State are playing at, I think, noon and 4 p.m. Central Time. I think these times are, I got 1 and 5. That usually correlates to where I am, which is in the Eastern Time Zone. Right? So you do have some afternoon ball games as well, but we'll have that on in the corner. We're going to enjoy a nice Masters Saturday and Sunday. It's been a minute since I've been able to sit home and watch the Masters all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So I am looking forward to that for sure. All right. Enjoy your weekend. Please make it a safe one. Thanks again for tuning in. Thank you for all the support. Go to YouTube and subscribe to Locked On Sunbelt. And don't forget about the audio portion of the show, Apple and Spotify. It's been a big help. We're having another good month here already. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Talk to you again soon, folks.